You're wondering why. What was part 6? You thought part 5 was the conclusion, right? But then there's part 6, and there'll be a part 7 also. There's something more from Naaman's life. So yeah, how many of you remember the last 5 weeks? Which passage we're reading? First Kings, Second Kings, Second Kings. Yeah, yes. Very nice. Second Kings chapter 5. Leprosy, the grace of God, how Naaman has been given the free healing that he's been given. Yes, we're on track. So then what is this part 6 about? We're going to be looking at the rest of the story today. So we all know that Naaman came all the way from the kingdom of Aram, all the way to the king of Israel, and then to Elisha, and then to the river Jordan, and then God gave him healing there. And now Naaman is going back. But okay, so his goal has been achieved, right? What Elisha wanted Naaman to receive is the grace of God and salvation. And Naaman has received that, right? Yes, Naaman is a healed man, and he believes that the king of Israel is the one true king. End of story. Finished. Over. What is the rest of the story? So we have studied the first segment of 2 Kings chapter 5, which contained Naaman's healing and salvation. But here, from verse 19 to verse 27, is where we are going to read the rest of the story. Gehazi is often ignored here. Can someone read for me from 2 Kings chapter 5, verses, just the first 2 verses, verses 19 and 20. Thank you. So this, after this, we read that Gehazi goes back to Naaman. He gets some silver, he gets some servants, he gets some new dresses. He comes back, he hides them in his house, and then reports back to whose servant is Gehazi? Elisha. So he does all of this, keeps it a secret, and then comes back and reports to his master, Elisha. So why is Gehazi's story often ignored? Just like how we ignored. We just part 5 over. Now then we ignored Gehazi, part 6. So where has this happened in the Bible? We can see this in the story of Daniel, the story of Daniel in the lion's den. Yeah, how many of you know? Can somebody just quickly say what is Daniel's story? Nobody knows. Daniel, stranger is the most famous part. What is lion? He was put in the lion's den, and then the lion's mouth got shut, and then yes. Now that is the story less told. So just imagine the story of Daniel. So this is not Daniel, by the way. This is some buffalo, random buffalo, and some lion. So we know that Daniel was put into the lion's den, right? And we know that the lion's mouth was shut. And then what happened? What was the rest of the story? We know the good part. Yes, Daniel was put there. Yeah, he prayed to God. God shut the lion's mouth. Daniel was saved. He was brought back, and everything was given back to him. But then what happened? Daniel chapter 6, verse 24, just like Blessed pointed out, the people who opposed Daniel, they were thrown into the lion's den. How many of you know this? The people who schemed on putting Daniel into the lion's den, they were thrown into the lion's den. And the verse says, Daniel chapter 6, verse 24. Somebody can you read Daniel chapter 6, verse 24? Before they even reached the bottom of the den. That's it, gone. No bones also remained. Just like this buffalo got stuck. That's it. Nothing remained. The same thing with David and Goliath. How many of you know David and Goliath's story? That David, no shield, he just took 5 stones, he just killed a giant. That's it. Then after that, David cut. No children here. Let me change his image. So after that, David took his sword, he cut Goliath's neck, he took the head as a prized possession. Where do we see this? 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 51. He carried the big and bloody head to Jerusalem as a trophy of war. Same thing with Noah and his family. We know that Noah built an ark, all the animal species was saved, Noah and his family was saved. What about the rest of the story? What about the rest of the people? What happened to them? Every other living person on the face of the earth from Genesis 7. Men, women, children, animal, insect, fly, everything drowned in the great flood. What else? Where else can you see this? The story of the prodigal son. We know the prodigal son, he fought with his dad, took away half of the possessions, spent it everything miserly and came back as a servant, but his father accepted him and there was a party in the house. What was the rest of the story? The elder son, he didn't even come to the party. He was just standing outside. Oh, I've been here for so long. That was the rest of the story. So all these Bible stories and many more of this, what they have in common is a part that makes me smile and a part that makes me, cringe and wince and shudder. So each of these stories, they contain a record of grace. Yes, Daniel was shown grace. Noah and his family were shown grace. The prodigal son was shown grace. Naaman was shown grace. But the other side is God's judgment. Gehazi got God's judgment. The elder brother got God's judgment. All the other people on earth, apart from Noah's family, got judgment. The people who accused Daniel got the judgment. So it's not always fairy tales and living happily ever after. So there is judgment coming. Yet, in spite of all of this, we must also learn of God's hatred for sin, the destruction it causes to us personally and in the world generally, just like how we saw in Noah's story. His mercy and judgment, they stride throughout the history of the Bible in tight formation. You can't find just God's mercy. You can't find just God's judgment separately. Okay, this is going separate timeline over. No. Very closely, you will see that throughout the Bible, throughout every chapter. One more example, Jonah. How many of you know Jonah? He was eaten by the whale and then 3 days he was there and then he went and he preached and their entire city was saved. What was the rest of the story here? Yeah, they were forgiven. Yes. It's a good thing, right? They received grace. Entire city of Nineveh received grace. Where's the judgment then? That is what Jonah was angry about. We read that in Jonah chapter 4. The entire city of Nineveh is saved because of what Jonah said, and he should be happy, right? Because of me, entire city is getting saved. No, he wasn't happy. If you read Jonah 4, if you have the time today, go read Jonah 4. He goes outside the city, sits outside one small tree, and he's like, what is this, God? These are all not very good people. How come you're saving them? They're not very nice people. I don't understand your judgment. He's worried. He's angry. He's angry on God because of God's grace. So the rest of the story is always the hard part of the story, the most difficult part of the story, something that we want to ignore, something like the part 6 and 7 that we almost ignored. But we know we're not ignoring. Gehazi's story is important. What did Gehazi do? Can someone read chapter 5, verse 20, 2 Kings? So what is he saying here? Essentially, he's saying Gehazi is telling Elisha, "Oh, Master, you're too easy on this man. He's an outsider. He's from an enemy kingdom. He's the army general. He has so much of wealth, but you just gave him this healing free of cost. What is this? Master, you've been too easy on Naaman." That is what Gehazi is saying. Naaman, sorry, not Naaman. Gehazi is trying to, what is he trying to do here? He's trying to alter the gospel. Just like Jonah came outside the city and was angry on God. God, these people deserved your judgment, but you gave them grace just because of the 5 words that I said. Jonah literally went into the city and said 5 words. That's it. God, you've been too easy on the city of Nineveh. God, you're being too easy on Naaman. When Naaman received the healing, what did he offer Elisha? He offered quite a number of things. What did Elisha do? Did Elisha go back into the room and put out an Excel sheet and calculate everything, the value of whatever he gave? Did he do that? What did Elisha do? Straight away, he said, no. As long as the Lord lives, I don't want any of this. Nothing. Okay, bye. That's it. 2 minutes, the conversation was over and Naaman left. But what is Gehazi's thought process? Behind the scenes, Gehazi has already opened his Excel sheet. He's already doing all the calculations. That's it. Gehazi is thinking it over and came to the conclusion that Elisha has been too easy on Naaman. He thought it over some more and decided to go get the money. He thought it over some more and brought up a bunch of lies so that he could get the money. He did not see a blazing furnace, so he took his time, debated it, and did it. Once you go down that path, there's no coming back. So, what is Gehazi doing? He hasn't done what Elisha has done. Elisha straight away said, okay, nothing needed. Thank you. Bye. Go back to Aram. But Gehazi is not doing that. It was no longer free grace. What did Gehazi do? Let's read verse. What is the verse that I'm looking for? 21. Somebody read 21. Gehazi has taken action. So when Naaman saw Gehazi come and ask for all of these requests, what is Naaman's thinking now? Consider the impact that Gehazi's actions is having on Naaman's perception and Naaman's testimony. He had to be confused, right? Because here, just about half an hour back, he had a conversation with Elisha. He offered so much. But then he was made very clear with Elisha that go on your way, Naaman. You have received free grace. This is the king of Israel. He gives you free grace. He's just received this message. That is his testimony. And just half an hour later, there's one person coming and, hey, boss, this is not free testimony, free grace. Just give me 2 talents of silver and 2 clothes. Then you can go. Naaman will be very confused. No? He's not, this is the first time he's had an interaction, a healing with the God of Israel. And he'll be like, oh, so this is not free grace. So what is it then? Let's read Romans chapter 4, verse 16. Can someone read Romans 4:16? So if the gospel costs even one nickel, even one paisa, it is not the gospel at all because it cannot be guaranteed. So now Gehazi is getting confused. Sorry, Naaman is getting confused because of Gehazi's attack on the heart of the gospel. It arose from Gehazi's belief that Elisha was too easy on Naaman. Elisha gave the healing free of cost. It was how they condemned Jesus as well. When he healed a man born blind, claiming that the man had been born with sin, and when he pardoned the woman who was caught in adultery, Jesus pardoned the woman who was caught in adultery. The Pharisees and the Sadducees said, Lord, you're being too easy on them. They deserve your judgment, not your mercy. Luke chapter 15 begins with the criticism of Jesus. He was having food with the tax collectors. Lord, you're being too easy on them. They're not good people. They deserve your judgment, not your grace. This tax collector, this sinner, the prodigal son's brother, this Aramean, Naaman, you are being too easy on them. Gehazi, the teachers of the law, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the elder brother of the prodigal son, these people were all in the same boat. They did not see what Elisha did. They did not see what Jesus did. They did not see what the prodigal's father saw. They did not see that where sin increased, grace increased all the more. Romans chapter 5, verse 20. Can somebody read Romans chapter 5, verse 20? There's going to be a lot of Bible verses today. So if you can be quick on your fingers. Romans 5:20. Where sin increased, grace increased all the more. Where sin increased, grace increased all the more. Jesus knew that. That is why he's going to the tax collectors. Gehazi, just like the older son, had worked very hard all those years under Elisha. And he knows the financial situation of the house. He's the head servant of Elisha. Exactly how Elisha was the head servant for Elijah. So, Gehazi had the potential to become like Elisha. But he did not. He faltered. Now he had to. Now that he has done this, he has gone to Naaman and asked for this, and he's kept it a secret. He's kept all of the riches and all the new dresses in his house. Now he had to come to Elisha and report by saying another lie. Okay, where have you been? But who's Elisha? We saw about 3-4 Sundays back. Even when Naaman came to Elisha's doorstep, Elisha did not come out. And even before Naaman decided to come to Elisha, Elisha knew of Naaman's presence in the kingdom of Israel. We just saw from chapter 5, verse 16. What does it say? (26). Yeah, verse 26. Can you read further? So Elisha knew exactly what Gehazi has done. How? Because Gehazi's button had one button camera and he was recording a live telecast to Elisha. No, how? He got an email from God and Zoom call he had to get onto. Is Elisha? Yeah. What God? Gehazi done this? Okay. Firing him, putting an email to HR. That's it. He's out of a job. How did Elisha know? Spirit of the Lord. Yes. Just like how Elisha knew the presence of Naaman in the kingdom of Israel, Elisha knew what Gehazi has done. So there's no way Gehazi can hide it. What does Elisha do to Gehazi? He imposes discipline. Okay, you went and did this. Okay, now you're going to get disciplined. And what was